Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Sword of Convallaria video. So in this Sword of Convallaria video, we are going to talk about the talent system, which is extremely helpful in the game itself, but nobody actually talks about it. And if you do it wrongly, or if you upgraded a wrong path, or you wasted too much resources on something that you don't actually need, it will actually slow you down, or worst of all, even break your account moving forward. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you about the talent system, as well as what's the optimal way to upgrade your talents to maximize your account. So first, let's start with the basics of the talent system. So we're going to go into the Watcher's path, which is my most upgraded path here. So for all talent system itself, there's actually multiple rings. So we have the base ring, we have the level 20 ring, which is the second ring after the first one, which unlocks once you reach the Voyager level 20. Then we have the third ring right here, which is where I am most of my stuff upgraded. This is unlocked once your Voyager level reach level 30. And we have the fourth ring right here, which is the ring that you're able to unlock once you get Voyager level 40. So there's one more ring outside that's still indicated by the question mark, as you guys can see over here. So this is what I'll probably expect to be the Voyager level 50 ring. So that's for the different rings, in case you guys are wondering what I'm talking about later on. What's this level 30 ring, what's this level 20 ring that you're talking about? Okay, so this is the basic, right? So the base ring, right, level 20 ring, and then we have level 30 ring, level 40 ring, as well as level 50 ring. Okay, so that's the basic. Now, first of all, right, why do you want to plan your talent paths carefully? Why do you want to choose the correct talents to upgrade? The answer is really simple, because even for myself right here, I'm currently Voyager level 38, so I'm super duper close to the level 40 mark. But if you take a look at my talent system right here, my breaker path, defender path, destroyer path, they are still silver. That is because I don't have the level 30 rings unlocked, because I don't intend to upgrade them, to waste my resources on them, because these classes are not the classes that I'm currently maining. So I'm not going to waste my precious materials, like all these star spikes, to upgrade the level 30 path, at least not on this path, because these units, or the units in these paths, are not the common ones that I'm running. So when I upgrade the talent system itself, one thing which allows me to focus on the path that I choose is to choose the path that I have the most commonly used units. So for my case, I use Gloria a lot. Right, I use Crimson Falcon a lot, which is a Seeker. I use Ballista a lot. I use Angel a lot. These units, right, they're all the Watcher path as well as the Seeker path. So therefore, choosing to focus on the Watcher path as well as the Seeker path is my path of selection for the specific talents that I'm choosing to upgrade, because that's where the stats bonuses for the different roles are maximized, right? If you're somebody who actually mains a breaker, or you main like the defenders, for example, you choose Maisha and a bunch of defender units, and then you choose to upgrade your Seeker path stuff, then your breaker units won't be able to benefit from the attribute bonuses, right? Because of the limited amount of resources you have to choose the class you upgrade carefully, right? Mainly, I think the key caveat is to choose a class where you use a lot. This is where you get the most benefit out of it. Okay, so for you, if you use Watcher a lot, then Watcher path is probably the way to go. In fact, I think most people should actually focus on the Watcher path, because that's where you have some of the most OP units, some of the most commonly used units. For example, like Inanna, for example, like Gloria, for example, like Angel, for example, like Ballista. So there's a lot of Watcher units that are insanely good, and probably the whole bunch of units that people actually use, for example, Divine Grace. So going for the Watcher's path is a safe choice. So then, with that amount of remaining resources, I think the other class that you focus on will probably be a supplementary class that you use a lot together with the Watchers. So if you use Destroyer a lot, then you focus on Destroyer, right? If you use Seeker a lot by myself, then it's a Watcher plus Seeker path. So that way, I'll let you guys decide which path you should focus on, because each account has different number of units, and each account is focused in a different roles for the units itself. So this is to each their own. Okay, just know that focus on the paths where you have the most commonly used units in your account. That way, the additional stat bonus will benefit you more. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is with regards to what stats should you increase, what nodes should you be upgrading. So since I mentioned earlier that the resource upgrading is actually really expensive, I think one glance at your account will tell you there are certain nodes which are not as useful to you at the current pacing of the game. So if we take a look at my account right here, right, I'll go into my unit collection. So if you take a look at my account, right, Mytha, Gloria, Valdarian Scout, Ballista, Angel. Okay, Angel is actually a magical attacker. Crimson Falcon, Outlaw Archer, Lightning, as well as Recruiter Assassin right here. They're all physical attackers, right? So if you upgrade the magical attack side, that stat line or the stat boost provided by that node over there is not gonna give much to these units. So the same can be said, for example, if you're a magical attack team and if you spend your resources on the physical attack node, then obviously the stat line is going to be really wasted. So that's where if you go back into the talent path itself, right, for you to efficiently select what paths or what nodes to select, take a look at your team once again. If you're a physical centric team, for example, like myself, right, you can actually choose to skip the magical attack nodes because these resources can be used for the seeker class or the other classes that you're actually using on your own account, right, rather than upgrading a stat which doesn't actually benefit your account a lot. So if you're somebody who has a mix of both physical and magical, right, one thing that you want to think about is, let's say if I have more destroyer magical units, then the path for the destroyer path will be a magical attack path, right? Whereas if I'm more physical centric on the watcher path, for example like myself, then you go for the physical side of things. So there are certain nodes which actually benefits all the attacks of the ally. For example, like this watcher's patient over here, the more universal nodes are generally the nodes that you want to go for first. For example, this one, like the damage enhancement, which boosts both physical and magical. So these are the nodes that you go for first, but later on subsequently, as you're planning to upgrade the other paths, you might want to take a look at your own account to see whether or not, hey, do I have more physical attacker, or hey, do I have more magical attackers, and then choose the respective nodes carefully. That way you can actually put the resources into nodes that are extremely helpful, for example to the defensive side right here. Okay, so if I don't upgrade my magical attack amplification or multiplication over here, these resources can be transferred into the other nodes on the other defenses as well as the other classes itself. That way I will be able to maximize all the bonuses that I can get from the account or from the talent system for my own characters that I'm running for my teams. So that's one thing which I think is super duper important, right? If you choose the wrong nodes, if you're upgrading the wrong paths or even the wrong stats, that will definitely slow you down because you get less stats and right, you'll feel that, hey, why am I not surviving as well? Why am I not doing more damage? That's because you're missing that juicy 50 stats, and that's because you're missing that juicy 4 or 5% of bonuses boost from the talent system itself. Another thing to take note of with regards to the talent system is the tactics over here. So there are certain tactics which in general I think is really helpful. Personally, my own favorite would be Urgent Order as well as March Command from the Seeker class. So I'm going to go into the Seeker class right here. So this, I'll say like tactics, these are good tactics, right? If you use them a lot, then you should definitely push them to the next tier. For example, right, let's take this Red Order for example. Like personally I upgraded it, but I felt that it was a waste of resource because it's a common skill which I don't actually use, because in the common slot I usually will use the Urgent Order coming from the Watcher class itself. So you can't have two different, I'll say like tactics from the same category used in battle itself. So if you don't actually use like the other tactics from other classes, for example like the Breaker class, right, people have a lot of Thunderstruck, but I don't use Thunderstruck a lot myself, so I don't intend to upgrade it until I actually upgrade all the main stuff that I have on the other paths itself. And if you take a look at this, I actually upgraded this explosive barrel. So this explosive barrel is actually insanely good in certain situations, which you guys will see later on in one of the Tower Conquest video. This explosive barrel is used for cheesing purposes, so it's really funny. But right, there are certain, I'll say like talents which are not commonly used, and honestly speaking, if you're not using them similar to the stat itself, don't bother upgrading them. Save the resources for all the more important stuff. In fact, all the defensive stats for all the different classes that you use, they are really good, because for the defenses it's universal, right? If you are facing the magical attackers, then you will rely a lot more on your magical defense. If you're facing the physical attacker, then you'll be relying more on your physical defense. So if you choose to upgrade the defenses, right, over the useless magical attack that you don't even use, then it would be better for your account in the long run. And for the farming side or the resource of this upgrading paths itself, if you guys have realized by now, right, by the time you're able to farm the next tier of the materials, you will be able to farm a lot of the lower tier materials. For example, now we are at level 30, we are able to get a lot of this stardust, right, throughout the different farming itself. So by the time you're able to farm the next tier, by the time you upgrade all your higher level nodes, you will be able to farm so much additional dust itself that you can just naturally upgrade all the lower level stuff right here, as you guys can see. Okay, so the number one priority for your talent system, always choose the stuff that's useful for your account. Always choose the skills that you use a lot rather than just anyhow upgrading and throwing your resources around, because prioritizing on the right stats, prioritizing on the right paths will give you an extremely good advantage in terms of cheesing certain stages with like one little bit of HP or with that little bit more damage to snipe off certain targets. So this is definitely something that's super important that I don't know why nobody talks about, but right, if you guys see my video, lucky for you. Okay, please try to optimize your talent system. Please choose the correct path, because the amount of resources needed to upgrade everything here will just increase exponentially. And if you continue to spend your resources all over the place, then that's where you'll slow down your account. That's where you will actually break your account potentially if you upgraded the wrong stuff for your different accounts out there. One more thing that I want to mention before we end off today's video is with regards to the TP system. So this TP system is something that I'll always upgrade at the get-go, right? This is basically this line over here. So if you take a look at my watcher path, we have this line upgraded. If you take a look at my destroyer path, we have this line upgraded. I still have yet to upgrade this because usually for the max TP itself, I don't actually let my TP fill up to the max. So I feel that it's okay to just not upgrade this and then use these materials to upgrade my defensive stats. But most of the time for the TP side, I always upgrade it. So if you go into the silver side, as you guys can see, I always upgrade it. Okay, I always upgrade it. And then I always upgrade it, because tactics in this game is extremely helpful. It is actually really game changing using the right tactics and then have the right amount of energy, right, to use the tactics itself. That's something that will actually change the battle, and that's something that I rely a lot in order to cheese through the deficit stages itself. So at get-go, right, if you're able to upgrade the TP path, always go for it, because this is also universal, similar to the defensive side, and this will actually change the outcome of battle sometime, because being able to regenerate more TP, right, being able to start off with more TP, right, as well as being able to hold more TP allows you to have more strategic advantage in battle itself. So that's it for the talent system. I think that's pretty much all the stuff I want to cover. Generally, right, if your units, for example, like myself, I do upgrade a little bit of the defenses for the for this class, because my main defender is actually Maisha. So upgrading all this stuff is actually good for Maisha to tank a little bit better, and then from there, right, I'm able to hold more stages on my own with my free-to-play account, that is. So it's very dependent on your current class of unit. So if you focus on a breaker tank, or if you focus on a destroyer tank, then the paths or the nodes that you select to boost the stats will change accordingly, right? It might sound like, I'll say, like really basic stuff, but I've seen people just upgrading all the different nodes all over the place. No, that's not the right way to do it. Just focus on things that you use, focus on the stats as well as the paths that will benefit your account the most, and that's where you will excel at pushing and min-maxing in terms of clearing certain really hard stages out there. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this talent system explanation is clear-cut and easy to understand for you guys. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.